As the year comes to an end, it's easy to get caught up in the rush, planning for the new year, setting goals, and thinking about what's next. But before we turn the page, I want to invite you to pause. This moment, right here, right now, is an opportunity to reflect, to acknowledge, and to honor the journey you've been on. How often do we let a year pass without truly sitting with what's we experienced? The challenges, the triumphs, the moments that stretched us, and the ones that healed us. They all deserve a moment of reflection. So in today's episode, we're going to take that moment together. We'll look back at the year that was, not with judgment or regret, but with gratitude and compassion. We'll explore the lessons we've learned, the growths we achieved, and the things we're ready to leave behind. Welcome to the Empowered, the safe space where we explore, heal, and allow ourselves to be heard. I'm your host, Alkistis, and as we close out this year, I want to take a moment with you to reflect on everything this journey has brought us, the lessons, the challenges, and the growth. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. It truly makes a difference in my life to know who's on the other side of this conversation. So if you feel inspired, leave a comment and introduce yourself. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming into the next episodes. So with no further ado, let's begin. Why is it so hard for us to give ourselves credit? Part of it is societal. We live in a culture that glorifies hustle and achievement, where success is measured on how much you've done, not how much you've grown. But growth isn't always about taking off boxes. It's about evolving, learning, and becoming more aligned with who you truly are. Another reason is our inner critic. For many of us, that voice in our head is quick to point out where we've fallen short, but slow to celebrate our wins. It's as if it's acknowledging our growth feels indulgent or selfish, when in reality, it's essential for our own well-being. Take a moment to think about it. What did you accomplish this past year that you didn't give yourself credit for? Maybe it wasn't a major milestone, but perhaps it was something quieter, like setting a boundary, healing from a loss, or simply making it through a tough time. Those things matter too. This year, like every year, has been a teacher, and let me tell you, it was a tough one for me. One of the toughest lessons I had to learn was accepting that my business, something I'd poured my heart into, needed to pivot. It wasn't fulfilling me anymore. On the surface, it looked successful. It had the metrics, the praise, and the growth. But deep down, I felt disconnected from it. It no longer aligned with who I was becoming. Letting go of what no longer serves us, even when it looks good from the outside, is one of the hardest things we can do. It feels like a loss. I questioned myself. Am I making the right choice? Am I giving up? What will people think? But as painful as it was, it brought clarity. I realized that success isn't about how it looks, but how it feels. This year also taught me about boundaries. I had to set some with people in my life who were draining my energy. And that was hard too, because I cared deeply about the people around me. But I had to ask myself, am I giving up so much to others that I'm leaving nothing for myself? What about you? What challenged you this year? What moments stretched you and made you wonder if you could get through them? Take a moment to sit with those lessons, not to relive the pain, but to honor the growth, because no matter how hard it was, you made it. You're here. Now let's shift our focus with gratitude. Gratitude doesn't erase the hard stuff, but it allows you to see the full picture. For me, this year was full of moments of clarity and connection. Even in the midst of the challenges, I found myself deeply grateful for the people who supported me, the small victories that reminded me of my strength, and the quiet moments of joy that kept me going. And here's what I'm grateful for this year: the courage to pivot my business, even though it was painful. I'm grateful for the clarity it brought me. The people who stood by me even when I doubted myself. And the community I've built here on this podcast, you. Knowing that I get to share this space with you has been one of my greatest gifts. Take a moment now to think about what you're grateful for. It could be big, like a new opportunity, or small, like a conversation that made you smile. Gratitude is a powerful practice because it reminds us that even in imperfection, there's beauty. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Reflect on why those moments mattered. And let yourself sit with that feeling, even if it's just for a moment. Reflection isn't just about looking back and taking stock of what happened. It's also about letting go. And that's the part that's hardest for many of us. Letting go feels heavy, doesn't it? It can feel like loss or even failure. But the truth is, letting go is one of the greatest acts of self-love you can give yourself. It's about saying, I'm no longer carrying what isn't mine to carry. For me, this year was about letting go of some deeply ingrained beliefs, especially about success. For so long, I thought success was about meeting external expectations, how others viewed my achievements, how they talked about my work, or whether it fit this polished image of having it all. But I realized something this year. What looked successful on the other side didn't feel fueling on the other side. My business, which had been growing, no longer aligned with the person I was becoming. It took me months of inner work, not to say years, and honestly, tears to admit that I needed to pivot. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy. There was a strange guilt that comes with letting go of something that looks right but feels wrong. And it wasn't just work. This year I had to set boundaries with people who drained me, but I cared for them deeply. But I had to ask myself, am I shrinking myself to make them comfortable? Am I leaving enough for myself? Saying no to them felt like saying no to a version of me that prioritized others over myself. And that was very hard, but I know it was necessary. It's natural to feel resistance to letting go. Our brains are hardwired to hold on to what's familiar, even when it's not good for us. There's comfort in what we know, and stepping into the unknown feels risky and scary. But here's the thing, you can't create space for something while holding on to what's old. Imagine your hands are full, you're gripping onto everything you think you need. But the longer you hold on, the more tired your arms get, and you can't reach for anything else. Releasing what no longer serves you is like letting your hands relax. It's scary at first because you feel like your hands are empty and you are left feeling lost. But once you let go, you realize you've created space for something better. This year, as I realized my attachment to outdated definitions of success and set boundaries with draining relationships, I discovered something unexpected: freedom. The freedom to redefine what success means to me. The freedom to spend my energy on what matters most. The freedom to grow into a version of myself that feels aligned and whole. And that's what I want for you too. As you reflect on this year, ask yourself, what's one thing I'm ready to leave behind? Write it down, say it out loud, do whatever you need. And as you let go, remind yourself, this isn't failure, this is growth. Now that we've reflected on the past and released what no longer serves us, let's shift our focus to what's ahead. But here's the thing, I don't want this to be about pressure or grand resolutions. Resolutions often feel rigid, like a checklist we have to complete to feel worthy. And let's be honest, how many of us actually stick to them? Instead, I want us to focus on intentions. Intentions are softer, more fluid. They're about aligning with how you want to feel and who you want to be, rather than just what you want to achieve. Let's start with this question. What do you want this year to feel like? Do you want to feel a sense of peace into your life? More joy, more freedom? Take a moment to reflect on that. For me this year, I want to lean into simplicity. After such a big year of change and growth, I'm longing for peace, joy, and a sense of slowing down. That doesn't mean I won't work hard or have goals, but it does mean I'll be intentional about what I say yes to. Now let's take it a step further. Who do you want to be this year? One of my favorite coaches, Devan Bandison, always says, ask this question. Instead of focusing on what you need to do, think about what kind of person do you want to become. If you want to be someone who feels peaceful, maybe it's about setting boundaries and protecting your energy. Or if you want to be someone who feels more joyful, maybe it's about prioritizing time with loved ones or doing more of what lights you up. If you want to be someone who feels free, maybe it's time to let go of perfectionism or old expectations. The beauty of this approach is that it's not about achieving a specific outcome. It's about aligning with the life you want to create. A simple exercise for setting intentions for the new year could be something like this. Write down 3 words that describe how you want to feel in the year coming. For each word, write one small step you can take to invite that feeling into your life. For example, if your word is peace, your step might be creating a morning ritual that centers you. Or if your word is joy, your step might be scheduling a monthly date with yourself or someone you love. If your word is freedom, your step might be saying no to the things that feels heavy or unaligned. These small steps might seem simple, but they're so powerful because big changes don't happen overnight. They happen in the quiet, consistent moments where we choose alignment over obligation. One of the biggest lessons I've learned this year is that balance isn't about doing everything. It's about knowing when to say no. We often think of balance as juggling all the pieces perfectly: work, relationship, family, personal growth. But balance doesn't mean doing it all at once. It means setting priorities and boundaries to protect what matters most. So let's reflect. What needs more balance? Where in my life do I feel stretched too thin? Where do I need to say no more often? And what areas of my life need more time and energy? This year, I learned to prioritize my peace over other people's expectations. I really stopped saying yes to things that drained me, even if they seemed like opportunities I should take. And let me tell you, it was liberating. Remember, saying no to one thing means saying yes to something better, like your well-being, your creativity, or your relationship. For me, one of the most powerful craving, especially during the holiday season and all year round, was the urge to say yes to every beautiful opportunity that arose. Invitations to join pop-ups, collaboration, and existing business ventures kept landing in my inbox. And while part of me wanted to say yes, to seize those moments and enjoy the financial gain and visibility they promised, a deeper part of me knew they would distract me from the meaningful space I've been trying so hard to stay true to. This space is about more than how much I gain or how busy and successful I look from the outside world. It's about becoming the more aligned version of myself, someone who values the depth over display, connection over chaos, and authenticity over constant activity. So instead of filling my calendar with events and obligations, I chose something else. I found myself hosting friends in my home, creating a space where we could connect deeply. I cooked delicious meals and we gathered around the table and our kids fell asleep together by the fireplace, the Christmas tree glowing in the background. That image, the joy, the laughter, the peace, it's not worth any amount of currency. It's priceless. And it would never have happened if I hadn't said no to all those tempting opportunities. But let's be real, saying no came with its own challenges. There was a big sense of loss, this fear of missing out on something important. Would saying no mean I missed the train? I'd miss a career breakthrough? Would it mean falling behind while others push forward? These questions weighed on me, but the more I sat with them, the more I realized that what I fear wasn't missing out on opportunities. It was missing out on moments that truly mattered. moments of presence, of connection, of creating memories that feed my soul rather than my resume. And you know what? Those moments, the ones around my table, with my people, my kids, my partner, and that quiet glowing tree felt more aligned with the person I'm becoming than any event, collaboration, or partnership ever could. I want to invite you to reflect on this now in your own life. Where are you saying no out of habit, obligation, or fear of missing out? What could saying no open up for you? More time with your loved ones, space for creativity, or even just a sense of peace. Remember, balance isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what aligns with your values and who you want to be. When you say no to what drains you, you create space for what fills you. And that's where the true magic happens. As I reflected on the choices I made this year, one recurring theme emerged: alignment over achievement. For so long, I believed success was doing more, saying yes to everything, and constantly pushing myself to achieve. But this year taught me something different. Alignment isn't about how much you accomplish. It's about how those accomplishments feel. It's about making choices that resonate with your values and bring you closer to the life you truly want to live. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of doing. We chase goals, opportunities, thinking they'll bring us happiness or validation. But how often do we pause to ask ourselves, does this align with the person I want to be? For me, this year was full of moments where I had to ask that question. I realized that some of the things I was striving for weren't actually aligned with my values. They were things I thought I should be doing. And let me tell you, living out of alignment is exhausting. And that, I think, was my turning point to actually make some changes in my life. But let me be clear, it wasn't easy. There were moments when I doubted myself, moments when I felt like I was falling behind. But every time I chose alignment, I was reminded that I'm building a life that feels true to me and that's worth everything. As we step into the new year, I want you to carry one powerful thought with you. Your alignment is your superpower. When you make decisions that reflect your values, your truth, and your unique path, you're not just creating a life. You're creating a life that feels deeply meaningful and fulfilled. And yes, it takes courage to say no to what doesn't serve you. It takes patience to stay grounded when the world tells you to keep moving faster. But every time you choose alignment, you're choosing yourself. I hope this episode has inspired you to pause, reflect, and honor your journey. Wherever you are right now, I want you to know you've come far. And the year ahead is a beautiful opportunity to keep growing, evolving, and stepping into your truth. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a little gift to carry into the new year. I've created an affirmation deck for your phone background with some of the most powerful affirmations that helped me on my growing journey. To download your affirmation, visit alchemiasoaps.com and use code EmpowHERed at checkout. You'll find the link and details in the show note down below. I hope these affirmations serve as a daily reminders of your strength, resilience, and worth. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with someone who might need this message. Your support means so much to me, and it helps me grow this community. Don't forget to leave a comment or introduce yourself. I'd love to hear who's listening and connect with you. Together, we're creating a safe, empowering space to heal, grow, and thrive. And always take care of you. See you soon.